The ice cream man arrived. The ice cream truck had arrived in their neighborhood just in time. It was a hot summer day. Children were running as fast as they could to beg their parents for money or empty their piggy banks. They had to hurry. What if the ice cream ran out? A car came around the corner. A gunman started firing an automatic weapon. The hapless ice cream man fell out of the truck onto the pavement. The killer threw a Molotov cocktail. A fire started. Marcella, hurry. The ice cream truck exploded, and the gangsters disappeared in an unknown direction. Everyone was shocked by what had happened. A small boy approached the ice cream man and thought sadly about something. Gregory, what's wrong with you? Who's going to deliver ice cream now? Many years had passed since that terrible incident. Everyone had already forgotten about it. Life went on as usual. Roger was playing on the computer as usual. He was distracted by a noise in his mother's room. He decided to check what was going on there. Mom panicked, rummaging through the closets, looking under the bed, and nervously shaking her phone. Mom, what happened? The hospital called. Dad was in an accident. They're asking for urgent money for treatment. Roger asked Mom for her phone. She watched in surprise as he tried to figure out what he was going to do. Her son entered the caller's number into the Get Contact app. The number was identified as a scammer. Mom didn't understand what was happening. Don't worry, Mom. It's just scammers. That means Dad is okay. Mom sighed with relief. What kind of app is this? It's Get Contact, my friends. Get Contact really exists. Get Contact can identify many phone numbers. I can see how my friends have me listed on their phones. Spammers, scammers, annoying banks, or just random passers-by won't be able to trick us anymore. Check any numbers and add them to your blacklist. Download Get Contact from my link in the description below the video. And always be aware of who's calling. Familiar music was heard from the ice cream truck. The mother gave her son a reward for his help, and he happily ran off to get some ice cream. A line had already formed at the truck. Roger's friends took the first places. The selection of ice cream was huge, and for a second he was at a loss. What a sweet boy. What's your daddy's name? None of your business, Scarecrow. The kids got their ice cream and ran to the swings in the park. The playground was their favorite place to hang out. It had plenty of fun. Little Roni also wanted to hang out on the swings, but he couldn't get on. His ice cream cone fell off. The kids started laughing at their weakling peer. What a clumsy boy you are. Ugh, weakling, get out of here. The park guard stood up for Roni. He tried to explain to the kids that it's not nice to bully the weak. Roger, to spite the guard, lunged at Roni. The poor kid ran away from him. The bully stumbled and fell sprawled on the pavement. Ronnie ran into an alley, hid behind some trash cans, hoping to outlast the danger. Roger wanted to find his victim and punish him for ruining his mood. An ice cream van pulled into the alley. Roger wondered what he was doing there. You must be really tired. Yeah. I have the best ice cream for tiredness. Roger gladly took the treat. It turned out to be very tasty. The cunning ice cream man pulled out a knife, stabbed Roger, and dragged him into his van. Little Ronnie saw all this, approached the ice cream man, and thanked him for his help. I was sick a lot as a child, that's why I'm so weak. I understand. Gregory remembered how much time he spent in the hospital. The thing he dreaded most in his life was injections. The doctor treated him to ice cream, and while he was distracted, the doctor gave him an injection. Hey, what are you doing here? I'm treating little Ronnie to ice cream. And what are those red spots? It's just strawberry syrup. Tuna told his parents about a new ice cream man in town. His ice cream is incredibly delicious. Upon hearing about the ice cream man, Tuna's father was furious. These filthy ice cream men had taken over Roblox. Tuna looked at his father in surprise. He hadn't expected such a reaction. His father announced that he would soon finish building his ice cream factory, set up new ice cream stands all over town, and all the stinky ice cream men would no longer be needed. Someone knocked on the door. It was Roger's mother. She was very worried. It was completely dark, and her son still hadn't returned home. Two said that they had been to the park together. The guard ran into them, and Roger ran off somewhere. Call the police immediately. The police searched the entire park. There were drops of blood on the path that led to the guard's house. The door of his house was also stained with blood. And in the trash can, the detectives found Roger's clothes, cut up with a knife. Roger's mother confirmed that it was her son's t-shirt. I was set up. The police questioned the caretaker for a long time, but he confessed to nothing. The search continued in the park until the early morning. Concerned neighbors came to their aid, but Roger was still missing. In the early morning, the caretaker was taken to the police station. Look, the ice cream man. The cops stopped by the van and asked Gregory for his most delicious ice cream. Gentlemen, I have ice cream special for the cops. Gregory opened the refrigerator with a smile and scooped ice cream into a waffle cone. The cops ate their ice cream with relish and told the ice cream man how they caught the killer that night. The ice cream man listened to them with interest and advised putting the guy in the electric chair. The satisfied police agreed with him. Call us if you see anything suspicious. When the police left, Ronnie ran up to the ice cream man and asked him to tell her his secret. Such delicious ice cream. Let's go. Gregory brought the boy home. Little Ronnie stared open-mouthed at the ice cream man's house. He had never seen anything more interesting. It had an incredible laboratory. The boy was speechless with delight. So many tubes, wires, and incomprehensible devices there were. Gregory proudly explained that the ice cream tasted better if you added a teenager to it. And who was this? Gregory's memories began to swim. The doctor always managed to outwit Gregory while he ate ice cream. He would fall into a deep sleep for a long time. He always had the same dream. Marcella, come on. The ice cream van exploded, and the gangsters disappeared in an unknown direction. But in the dream, there was not a soul around. All the residents had disappeared somewhere. Gregory stood alone in the middle of the street. Suddenly, the ice cream man jumped off the pavement and started demanding Gregory find the killer and make ice cream out of him. Then he'll come back to life. I know this Marcelo. This is Tuno's father. They went to Tuno's house and set up surveillance from the bushes. An armored jeep pulled up. The guard checked the area and called the boss on the radio. That same Marcelo came out. They drove away. Gregory was depressed. There was no way to get to Marcelo. How do they even live now? The Bricklow gang. I think Tuno would be suitable for this. I don't get it. This is Marcello's son. Their DNA is identical. Tuno heard the music from the ice cream truck. He almost fell off the couch with joy. He grabbed the money and ran out into the street. The truck was parked right in front of his house. Tu asked for watermelon ice cream. Oh, help me open the box with this ice cream. Naive Tuno climbed into the truck and got hit on the head. Gregory noticed Heather watching him from the house next door. If you tell anyone, I'll kill your parents. Heather burst into tears and hid under the bed. In the lab, they dropped the tuna into a vat of boiling milk. Gregory turned on the mixer and lowered it into the vat. The milk turned red. Then he threw in a few sugar cubes and mixed thoroughly again. He turned on the pump. Ice cream flowed into Bricklow's flask. But nothing happened. The ice cream maker didn't come to life. Several days passed after Tuno's disappearance. There was no news from the police. "Who's looking for my son? Why aren't you doing anything?" Rupert explained to Tuno's father that all necessary measures had been taken. The police were patrolling the city. The matter was complicated by the fact that there was not a single witness to the abduction. Marcello was dissatisfied. "David, I have a job for you." The former Roblano Sharp fighters were hanging out at a sports club on the outskirts of town. Marcello had tasked old acquaintances with finding his son and punishing the culprit. The thugs jumped into a car and drove off in search of the boy. "Did something happen?" "Everything's fine, Mom." In fact, she was very scared. Lately, the ice cream man had been stalking her everywhere. Wherever she went, he hid behind the shelves at the supermarket. She barely managed to slip away unnoticed. From her bedroom window, she saw the ice cream van slowly driving past her house or standing at the school gates. Then she had to climb over the fence so he wouldn't see her. Life had cunningly turned into hell. She remembered the ice cream man's threats, so she was afraid to tell her parents. And her parents heard their daughter secretly crying in the room and thought she was simply worried about her missing friends. "Kitty, kitty, 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 kitty. How cute. Who abandoned you here?" Gregory used the kitten as bait. Kidder was walking home from school when she heard the pitiful meowing. She couldn't pass by. She decided to feed the poor kitten. Gregory snuck up from behind and threw a bag over her head. At that moment, some thugs drove by. "Look, something's happening in the alley." They rushed to the girl's aid. "Admit it, you kidnapped Tuno." Gregory shouted that he was just bringing joy to children. A police patrol drove by. "Guns down, hands up." The thugs tried to explain something to the cops, but the cops thought they were threats and opened fire. The beaten ice cream man told the cops that he saw the thugs drag the poor child into an alley and simply wanted to stop them, but the forces were unequal, and he himself was beaten. Intimidated, Heather was afraid to object. She simply stood nearby and cried. The cops cordoned off the crime scene with crime scene tape. Rupert asked Heather where she lived. It would be better if someone walked her home. Gregory offered his help. He lived in that area and was willing to walk the girl home. Rupert thanked the ice cream man and went about his business. Turning the corner, Gregory dragged Heather into his van. Rupert saw the thug on his phone, an incoming call from Marseille, and called him. "What have you done?" "These guys were working for me. They were looking for a kidnapper." Rupert ran the ice cream man through the police database. It turned out Gregory had spent almost his entire childhood in a mental hospital. He had suffered severe childhood trauma. Long ago, an ice cream man had been shot dead before his eyes. He still hadn't gotten over it. Rupert remembered that brutal murder. He'd been a cadet then. While the forensics team collected evidence, he'd had to fend off passers-by who were gawking. Rupert remembered the boy with the strange look in his eyes. How the paramedics had dragged him away from the murdered ice cream man, and his mother had screamed after the ambulance. "Gregory, Gregory, what have I done?" The cops arrived at Heather's home. Her mother reported that her daughter hadn't returned from school yet. Rupert reassured the woman. There was no need to worry. It was a routine check, and he ran to the car to call for backup. A SWAT team was dispatched to search for the ice cream man. An interception plan was issued. The van pulled up to little Ronnie's house. The boy dropped everything he was doing and ran out into the street. "It's so great that you came." He was so happy to see his best friend. The ice cream man opened the van. Heather was lying on the floor. She would make a very tasty ice cream. The sound of a helicopter and the wail of sirens were heard. The police surrounded the ice cream man. He covered himself with Heather. "Gregory, let the girl go and surrender. Everything will be fine. You're just going to the hospital." "No, I don't want to. They'll hurt me." Rupert signaled the sniper. The ice cream man was neutralized. Ronnie cried bitterly. The police killed his best friend. What will he do now? The cops freed Heather and helped Ronnie out from under the van. "Don't worry, boy. No one will hurt you again." The boys were sent to the hospital for an examination. Heather clung to Ronnie. She thought that he, too, was a victim of the ice cream man, and Ronnie was already making plans for the future. Grief-stricken Marcelo began to hate ice cream men even more. He remembered how it all started. "He has a ton of Robux in his safe." "Are you sure?" "Yes. My wife works as a cleaner in their building." She remembered the safe lock. Marcella and her friends decided to rob a businessman. They broke into his house at night, opened the safe, took out all the Robux, and calmly left. To avoid attracting attention for a while, they put the Robux in a storage locker at the nearest train station and went about their daily business. Bunch said he had to leave on business. His friends didn't even suspect a thing, but later he never returned. His phone was unavailable. A week passed like that. Marcella suggested checking the stolen Robux. They went to the train station and discovered the theft. Bunch Bracola had screwed us. It turned out the traitor took all the Robux and realized his long-held dream. He bought an ice cream van and became an ice cream man. He thought his friends wouldn't find him in another city, but as you already know, they found him and punished him cruelly. Marcella finally completed his ice cream factory, drove all the ice cream vendors out of town, and set up his own stands everywhere. Crime news. Last night, an unknown person broke into the city morgue, knocked out a security guard, and stole the bodies of 2 ice cream vendors. The perpetrator's identity has not been established. Now, a quick note on the weather. Sunny and dry in Roblox. Southwest wind, like Minecraft. That evening, the city park was deserted. Only one carefree boy decided to take his dog for a walk before bed. Toby was playing fetch. Someone snuck up behind him, threw a bag over his head, and dragged him into the bushes. After school, Ronnie got a job at an ice cream factory. He had bad grades on his report card, so they only offered him a position as a loader. "Ronnie, here's your pass. It'll let you get to work." The work turned out to be very hard and dirty. He had to unload trucks full of sugar all day. The pay was meager. For lunch, Ronnie could only afford tasteless porridge. "What are you sitting around for, Tunisians? Get to work." The factory owner, Mr. Marcella, loved to humiliate the workers, picking at every little detail, but despite all the humiliation, Ronnie kept working. He would stealthily eavesdrop on the pastry chef's conversation about a new ice cream recipe or spy on the taster. He drew a diagram of the factory floor and devised a plan to get closer to Marcelo. After work, Ronnie would return home, where his mother was waiting for him. A few years ago, she lost her sight in an accident and now never went anywhere. "How was your day?" "Everything's fine, Mom. Roni's. Here he would talk with his ice cream maker friends. It seemed to him that only they understood him. "Who are you talking to here?" Roni told her that he had been developing the formula for the most delicious ice cream syrup for a long time, but it was still missing something. His mother told him about when Roni was still a baby. She made him a really delicious pie. Roni couldn't stop until he finished it. "What did you put in that pie?" "Regular vanilla." Roni started banging his head. Why hadn't he thought of this delicious powder before? "You will be proud of me." He turned on the mixer and eagerly awaited the result. And when the magical mixture was ready, Roni tried a little. The syrup was insanely delicious. His head spun and his stomach swelled a little. It was the perfect recipe. Roni was jumping for joy. "Mr. Marcello, there's a loader here asking to tell you something." "Throw him out and let him work." The guard sent Roni away, but the guy wasn't discouraged. When the boss swaggered into the warehouse on his rounds, Roni tried again to tell him about his super syrup. Marcello was furious. He didn't want to listen to an ordinary loader. "Deal with this idiot." The poor guy got it pretty good. He couldn't even walk on his own. A passing cook told him to get up. "Come with me, I have a first aid kit." Mason treated the bruises on Roni's face. He was a kind, bearded man who loved to talk. They became friends. Now Roni often visited the kitchen where they made ice cream. He ingratiated himself with the cook and, at the first opportunity, when Mason wasn't looking, added his syrup to the main ice cream vat. Ice cream made using his recipe appeared on the conveyor belt. He personally loaded the boxes onto the truck and warned the driver to drive carefully. He was carrying valuable cargo. The driver grinned and drove off to deliver the ice cream to the stands. The syrup was incredibly potent. The children devoured the ice cream and couldn't stop. They grew fat before their eyes, but still kept eating. Roni tracked down the fattest kids and dragged them down to his basement. There, he cooked them into a new, hellish syrup. One day, he saw Heather near the ice cream stand. He liked her, and Roni decided to save her. "You can't eat that." Roni told Heather that he stayed late at work the previous night and accidentally saw Mr. Marcello secretly add some kind of powder to the ice cream vat. He was clearly up to something. "Look at the guy." Heather threw the ice cream cone on the ground in fear. "You need to figure this out. Something strange is going on." The police station has been inundated with complaints since this morning. Children of Roblox residents are getting fatter before our eyes, and some have disappeared altogether. Roars and screams can be heard everywhere in the streets. The children are demanding ice cream. They eat it and can't stop. One boy's parents locked him in his room, but he climbed out the window, sold his PlayStation to a neighbor, and bought himself more ice cream. Doctors drove through the streets, catching frantic children, injecting them with strong drugs, sedatives, and taking them to the hospital. "We need to check the ice cream factory." The police went to check. Marcello let the cops in and showed them to the workshop. "Everything is sterile here and we use the highest quality products. All these complaints are nonsense." He offered the cops some ice cream. Rupert refused. Then Marcello started eating it straight from the cauldron. The ice cream was too delicious. He couldn't stop. Rupert tried to calm him down, but Marcella dove straight into the vat of ice cream. What was he doing? Rupert demanded an immediate analysis of the ice cream. All the workers were sent home, and the factory was closed until the circumstances were clarified. "Down with the ice cream, close the factory," pay us." The guard led Marcella out the back exit and drove him home. Marcella demanded more ice cream. His wife helped the guard lock him in the room so he wouldn't do anything stupid. Marcella banged on the door and continued his hysteria. The police suspect that ice cream from the crime lord's factory is harming the residents of Roblox. The ice cream is now being tested in the police lab. "I told you so." Ronnie offered Heather to save the city from that villain, Marcella. They needed to lure him out of his house and demand the whole truth. Heather agreed to help. Ronnie gave her the ice cream and explained what to do. Mr. Marcella, do you want ice cream?" "Yes. Give it here." Marcella stretched and fell out the window. Ronnie gave the body a good whack with the bat and dragged it down to his basement. When they reached that dreadful place, Heather saw the dead ice cream men in a vat. Before she could say anything, Ronnie dumped Marcella in the vat of ice cream and turned on the mixer. The vat began to change color. Some kind of reaction was taking place. Panic erupted in the police lab. Pieces of brains were found in the ice cream. Rupert and the SWAT team headed to Marcella's house. They burst inside. A security guard reported that the boss was in his room, but no one was there. Rupert noticed an open window. There were traces of a fall below, as if someone had been dragged. The cops began combing the area. A frightened Heather ran out to meet them. Ronnie the killer monster was there. Rupert asked her to calm down. He didn't understand a word she was saying. The girl caught her breath and explained that Ronnie had kidnapped Marcel and thrown him into a vat of ice cream. Some reaction had occurred in the vat of dead ice cream men, creating a single ice cream man SCP. Rupert couldn't believe it. The girl must have just gone crazy. "Okay, let's check Ronnie's house just in case." "Wow, you're the coolest ice cream man." Ronnie wanted to hug the monster, but it grabbed him and carried him off to an unknown location. When the cops surrounded Ronnie's house, the basement was already empty. Ronnie's mother told them her son was the best in the world and wouldn't hurt a fly. The Pryovskys found plenty of evidence proving otherwise. Heather ended up in a mental hospital. She kept drawing the same pictures and trying to convince the doctors that the ice cream man would soon come for them. Ice cream sales were permanently banned on Roblox. Several years passed after that. There were many horror stories about the abandoned ice cream factory. One day, two friends decided to take a risk and went to a factory to search for valuables and thrills. In one of the workshops, they heard a sound. The guys crept up and saw a strange guy making ice cream. They came closer. "What are you doing here? You're the most delicious ice cream maker." Quote,